Hey, what is up, guys? John here, aka Bruce Lee, and we're back at it again. This time today we're talking about Bellator MMA and the light heavyweight world Grand Prix that they just announced. I'm super excited for this. Like, I don't really watch a whole lot of Bellator, but there's a few fighters here that I follow that I want to see them compete. You know what I mean? So even though there's a lot of like, I'm more of a UFC guy myself. I know it's like the mainstream, but like, we got some former UFC fighters here. We're gonna see compete again after some of them not seeing them for a little while. Should be pretty cool. Now, with today's discussion, guys, as a reminder, this is just my opinion from my perspective. I'm not an MMA fighter. I trained in Muay Thai. I'm a kickboxing teacher here from Canada. It's just my opinion, but I really want to hear your thoughts. So at the end, don't forget to comment below anything you notice that maybe I missed or you agree with or disagree with. I want to hear it. Let's engage. Let's talk. All right. First thing I want to say, guys, is that I think the best fighter overall here, just because I think they are the best fighter, doesn't necessarily mean they're the ones gonna win. Because the other thing what I think about is the matchups. Like, who do they have to fight to get there, right? And that's gonna be a big discussion as well. Let's start here with Anderson and Yagshimuradov. Okay, I don't know if I said that right. I haven't seen a whole lot of Yagshimuradov in Bellator personally, because I can't really watch Bellator a whole lot, but I do like his boxing for what I've seen, his counter punching. He's got good power while stepping back. He's a little bit small for the division though, but otherwise he seems pretty well rounded, a little bit more comfortable with his hands. Now, Corey Anderson, we saw him with some pretty good, not necessarily like amazing standout performances, in my opinion, in the UFC. Like, he had a couple of good performances for sure, like really good, but his overall run in the UFC, like, we couldn't quite see him like get past enough of the right guys to get into title contention. So that's too bad. I guess he just wanted more money and went to Bellator. It's just like the classic story here, right? But I do think Corey Anderson being like 4 or 5 inches taller, and he looks big. Like, we saw him in the UFC, I almost thought he's like nice and lean and pretty fast. But like when I saw him in Bellator, he looked thicker than normal from what I understood. So he's even more muscular. I don't know if that's going to take away from his cardio or his speed, but I think against his opponent on April 9th, I don't know if it will matter if he can take him down. I haven't seen Yagshimuradov too much on his back, but I think Corey Anderson is a big guy to deal with, and there's a lot of experience in the UFC with high-level guys. So I actually think, you know, as despite the great boxing, I think Corey Anderson is gonna win. So let's cross this guy off for now. I'm so sorry, my friend, but I think I think Corey Anderson is gonna win this one. Let's see at Machida versus Vader. Now, Ryan Bader, the former Bellator light heavyweight champ, and heavyweight, is it? I think got like two divisions there, right? But he's been looking huge, like absolutely massive as well, even bigger than it was in the UFC. So I think that size is gonna be a big factor against Machida. Like, Machida fought, you know, a bit light heavyweight, a little bit middleweight, you know, like I think personally he makes more sense fighting at middleweight just for his height and size, but he's got pretty decent speed. Like, I still follow to this, like, I'm a big Machida fan, you guys. Like, I always love his black and orange like Venom gear. Like, I have all that stuff at home, and I still follow him on Instagram to this day, so I keep in touch with like whatever training videos he puts up. He still looks fast, but I don't know if he looks as fast. But that being said, like, his training videos don't necessarily portray like him trying 100%, right? Like, they're just stuff that he puts on social media. But I am concerned that with the age and just the mileage on his body, he won't have the speed that he used to have. And I think if Brian Bader is going to have a massive weight and a little bit of a height advantage here, I think he's 1 or 2 inches taller. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone comment below, but he's massive. I think you have to have some really good speed and really good timing. Now, I think Machida's timing is still there. Like, that's how he knocked out, you know, Randy Couture at light heavyweight. Obviously, he's a light heavyweight champion. I personally think, though, he's really small. And even when he was fighting light heavyweight, even as a champion, like when he was fighting like John Jones and stuff like that, like, he did look really small to me. I thought he made more sense at middleweight, but unfortunately, by the time it went to middleweight, he wasn't doing crazy good in the UFC either. But whether that's just like the matchups or the weight cut or age or again, mileage, like we talked about, like, I don't know. But I think he's going to need some of that timing to be able to beat Vader. But I do think he's going to beat Vader. I think that he's going to have the strike. Like, when you watch like Ryan Bader and how he lost his title to like Nemkov, like, he lets stuff hit him. Like, he's not very evasive, not super defensively sound. I think when he's going forward, he's a really good offensive pressure fighter. Like, he has good punches. He's got really good pressure with his takedowns. You know, he'll meet you and fight you, but whenever you can like counter him or put him on the back foot or on the back step, I find he definitely isn't very evasive. So I think Lyoto Machida will be able to sneak a couple of like really powerful shots through, like a sniper almost. So I do think personally that Machida is gonna win this matchup. Okay, now let's go down to Nemkov versus Davis. This is a tough one for me. I really like Phil Davis. I think he's got amazing athleticism, really good takedowns, but I don't know if he's as well-rounded as Nemkov. I believe, and again, correct me someone if I'm wrong, but I believe Nemkov is a multiple-time Sambo champion. Like, I've noticed that he's really well-rounded. Like, when he beat Ryan Bader, I was really impressed with his speed and power overall. Like, he's just a great athlete in his own right. But what I also noticed that, like, you know, when he's like backing up, going forward, on top, on bottom, doesn't really matter. He usually it seems like he knows what he's doing. Like, he's very comfortable in a lot of different cases or different scenarios when it comes to MMA. And I think it comes from his Sambo experience. And he's a light heavyweight champ right now. Like, that's no easy feat whatsoever. I actually think Nemkov is going to be the more rounded and just, I think, maybe the better fighter. Now, Phil Davis is huge. I love his explosiveness and athleticism, but I just don't know if he's well-rounded enough that Nemkov can't capitalize on his weaknesses. So I'm going to go, I'm sorry, Phil Davis. I'm going to go Phil Davis off. Now, Rumble and Yoel Romero. That one's definitely one of the if not, I think this is the trickiest one for me to call or to choose from, because I like Yoel Romero a lot. To be fair, like I do think, like, if you ask my friends what they know of what I think of Yoel Romero, they'd say that I'm not a huge fan, and that, like, I think sometimes he is kind of boring to watch. Like, he definitely is he has some pretty spectacular knockouts for sure. He's got the power, but he does spend a lot of time waiting. So, like, for me, like, although I know that, like, in a realistic fight scenario, like, sometimes you want to take your time and really, like, aim and, like, you know what I mean. Like, the pacing of the fight I'm no stranger to a slow-paced fight, but I did think he's a little bit boring. But he has got awesome power. You know, like, for his age, he looks like still like a beast. He always looked massive to me at middleweight in terms of muscle mass, but at light heavyweight, I think that height is gonna play a factor. Now, that being said, if he can get past these guys, like, Machida isn't overly tall. Yagshimuradov, if he gets through, is only 5'11". I think Machida is 6 foot tall. Like, you know, Romero could probably deal with them a little bit easier. But, like, Rumble, if he had to fight Corey Anderson, Phil Davis, like, some of these guys are massive, tall. So I don't know if that would really give him trouble. Historically, like, when Romero has lost, I don't think the height really played it. Like, when he did lose, I would say that the height was, like, the biggest factor there, if that makes sense. So, that's a tough one. Rumble, I'm a big fan of Anthony Johnson. Like, when he was fighting UFC at, like, 170, I wasn't, like, crazy about him. I thought he was kind of more like obviously really skilled and big for 170, but for some reason, he just wasn't, like, it doesn't seem like he was, like, looking like the beast that he was at 205. At 205, like, when he knocked out, like, Glover Teixeira, that was insane. Like, I really think Rumble would give anyone a run for their money. I know he's been staying in shape in terms of, like, muscle, but I wonder. I don't know. I don't follow Rumble, but I don't know if, like, his cardio, his conditioning has been up, or if he has to gain all that back to fight Yoel Romero. Does he have time? Probably. But even, like, 3-4 months isn't, like, crazy amounts of time, and I don't know what he's been up to. Now, the other thing is that Romero's fought relatively recently, whereas Rumble hasn't fought in, like, almost 4 years. So that's gonna be a factor. That ring rust, really, just, like, he was comfortable, super comfortable in the UFC, but it's been a while since he fought. It was DC for his last fight, right? Like, he tried to get that belt and with no luck, but that's a tough one. I am going to say that's a tough one, guys. Comment below what you guys think. I am gonna cross off Romero here. He got cut from the UFC recently, but so he's been more active a fighter. Rumble, though, I think he's just got the size, he's got the power, and I think that, like if you can grind out Rumble, which is what DC did, I think you have a good chance of taking away some of his power or, like, getting him to kind of gas out. But with Romero's not really like, Romero also is kind of like one of those guys you try to gas out. So I think like of the two, try not to get gassed out. I think Rumble probably be more comfortable just because he's bigger and has like the knockout power and the reach. So I do think Rumble's gonna take it. Oh, that's a tough one though. Let's go back up top. Machida versus Anderson. I'm a big Machida fan, but I think Anderson's size is gonna be so tough to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Corey Anderson's no John Jones or anything like that. And Machida, you know, Machida had a lot of trouble against John Jones' size. Got a couple of good straights in, but at the end of the day, I think that size is giving him a lot of trouble. Whoo! You know what? I think Corey Anderson won't have, like, I think Machida's gonna be fast and be able to land some stuff, but I think he will get taken down, and I think Corey Anderson will clinch or just get on top and grind him down and tire him out. I'm gonna give this, I love Machida, but I gotta give this to Anderson. I think I gotta give it to Anderson. That's a tough one. So I think like of the top four guys, like Vader, Machida, Anderson, Yagshimuradov, like I think Machida might be the overall best fighter, but it's like I said before, guys, it's not just about who the best fighter is overall, it's about the matchups. And I think the matchup against Corey Anderson is not in Machida's favor. Let's look at Nemkov and Rumble. Rumble's still gonna have that power, but I think Nemkov has done what Nemkov I like about his well-roundedness. His offense is good, but also his defense. So I think that when he does a lot of like different things, like what I mean by that is like he can go forward, he moves lateral, he'll back up, and he always looks comfortable. And I think he's gonna have more options against Rumble. Well, I think Rumble's gonna come out doing is try to land a big right hand because what he knows. That's what historically, like that's his highlight reel kind of thing. And though he's got good, although Rumble's got amazing wrestling, I think he'll be depending mostly on the hands. And I think Nemkov is going to just have a little bit more variety. You know, he's got good roundhouses, good punches, decent clinch, great on the ground, good in the scrambles on the ground. So I think Nemkov is going to have more options and therefore going to win the fight. And I think he's also going to be able to tire Rumble out because Nemkov, to me, Nemkov looks like he's in amazing shape. And not just like looks, not just like physique, but like it just straight conditioning. Like I do notice that his output is really good throughout later rounds. I do think Nemkov is going to take the victory here. And then against Corey Anderson, I think it's the same story. I think he is going to beat Anderson. So that's my prediction, you guys. I think it's going to play out this way. I think it's going to be Anderson to win, Machida to win, and then Anderson to win again. I think Rumble's going to win, and Nemkov's going to win, and then Nemkov's going to win again, and then Nemkov's going to win all around. So I love some of these, like, you know, past UFC fighters. I like them a lot, but I don't know if they can beat Nemkov right now. He's just looking so good. If it wasn't Nemkov, I think it's Rumble or Machida that would win this. So those are all my picks, you guys. Let me know what you thought below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like, you guys, because it helps out the channel so much. And I really want to hang out with you again, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and maybe the bell notification. If you'd consider doing that, that would mean a lot to me. So I can see you next time. Bruce Lee is out.